Hi, y'all. This is Rational Vids. I'm coming to you today because I have a video that's going to make you very pissed off again with this criminal witch, Nancy Pelosi. She is such a piece of shit. Such a piece of shit. The times we are living in are chaotic. We got wars in Ukraine and Russia. We got rising housing costs. We got infrastructure that still needs to be fixed. We got food shortages and inflation at the wazoo. And we got a reproductive health crisis on our hands. See, even as a moderate on this one issue, as a leftist, I don't want to see this overturned. It goes farther than just abortion. The GOP already has plans, or at least some people in the GOP have plans that would outlaw contraception and birth control. This was never about protecting life of the mother or life of the fetus. This was about controlling people. It's about controlling people's bodies, their personal freedoms, their individual liberties. This is what the pro-lifers have shown their hand, and they could be doing a constitutional. They could have been fighting to lift the filibuster, but Joe Manchin and the Democratic Party would not let the filibuster be raised. So this is Nancy Pelosi. She's going to go about defending the Republican Party, or not defending, giving advice to the Republican Party that wants to implement the party full of extremists that wants to implement a theocracy. What have the Democrats done? Here's what the Democrats are doing.
You don't want me to get too political here, do you? I mean, the fossil fuel industry, they weigh in so significantly.
Oh, I bet, Nancy. I bet they weigh in significantly, because you wouldn't help the Sunrise Movement out, neither would Joe Biden. I wonder why that was.
I mean, how could it be that nobody on the Senate side cares about climate? Some of them do, and they talk about it. When it comes to the votes, it just isn't there. They just aren't there. So rather than saying, well, we have to defeat them, no, let's just try to persuade them.
Horrible advice. They're never going to change their opinion on anything. They have become they've gone way too far. They're very out in the open about what they believe. They're honest with their base, unlike our party, which is going to hide its will from everybody until the votes come out. We have to just try to persuade them. We've already tried doing that, Nancy. We've tried. They're not going to say yes to that. What do you want us to do? This is why people don't vote for Democrats right now. And it's why the Democrats are going to have a really fucking hard time in the midterms. It's because you guys do nothing to stop this. You guys do nothing to help fix poverty, to fix the criminal justice system issues that we have in our country that only serve to perpetuate crime rather than fix its source. You guys have, and speaking of climate change, I've seen very little action on that front. All I've seen is this half-baked infrastructure bill and funding the police. What have you done? What have you done to prove to us that you are an ally? That you're for LGBTQ rights? Yes, Biden implemented let transgender people back in the military, which is good, and what else did he do? Yeah, he put the gender X markers on the passports, but okay, that's great, but how do we fix these issues that are affecting everybody? The more poverty there is, the more extremism there is going to be. You are ruining any chance of progressives getting elected because the Fox News and the Republican Party have already painted you all as like far left. Even though I know the real truth, you're just conservatives wearing the D name instead of the R name. Fucking shit.
I want the Republican Party to take back the party. Take it back to where you were, where you cared about a woman's right to choose, you cared about the environment, and all.
So the last time the Republican Party cared about the woman's right to choose was right after Roe versus Wade was decided. But after Reagan and everybody influenced the party, they did not. They catered to the evangelicals, and that became their base, which is why they are strong, Nancy. You think Bush and everybody was pro-abortion? You think Romney was like pro-abortion until he just changed his views to moderate to the climate? Really? We need the Republican Party to take back the Republican Party. The Republican Party's too far gone now. You can't change them back to neoconservatism. They saw through that. They're moving on to like far-right nationalism, Christian nationalism. That's what their main base of their party is. A little bit of libertarianism in there, but not enough to change the party at its source. And when have they ever cared about the environment? The 1970s, the Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, NEPA, those are great bills, but this was back during Nixon era. Republican Party has not been a left-wing party in the entirety of its history. They've been a liberal party at certain points, but they've never been a leftist party. And neither have you. And the Democrats have a very small, brief history of leftism. Now you're appealing to this sort of neocorporate liberalism, quote unquote fascism. Let's go take it back a little bit.
It's about climate. Some of them do, and they talk about it. When it comes to the votes, it just isn't there.
It just isn't there because the fossil fuels have bought them all out. Fossil fuel companies bought them all out years ago.
They just aren't there. So rather than saying, well, we have to defeat them, no, let's just try to persuade them. I want the Republican Party to take back the party. Take it back to where you were, where you cared about a woman's right to choose, you cared about the environment, and all. Here I am, Nancy Pelosi, saying this country needs a strong Republican Party, and we do. Not a cult, but a strong Republican Party.
They're stronger than ever, Pelosi. Despite their minority support for these extremists, they win the seats. And the way this administration has been performing, it's not going to work. This appeal is not going to work. They already hate you, Pelosi, as the left does. I can't believe you weren't voted out like years ago. We need a strong Republican Party. You mean the Republican Party that's going to take all our rights away? You're saying this in the middle of one of the greatest reproductive health crises in the century, or in the last 50 years. And you're saying we need a strong Republican Party. You utter fucking bitch. All you've cared about is appealing to the capitalist corporate class. You're a neoliberal scum. And without a doubt, will go down forever in history as the worst Speaker of the House. You bend over for the capitalists every single damn time. And now you're trying to groom AOC into being the next you, instead of the socialist she ran on becoming. You don't serve the working class. This trying to be civil and trying to appeal to the elites, it's not going to fucking work. They don't care about being civil anymore. The elites are done with that shit. They've moved on to just fucking you over straight up. They don't even try to hide it anymore. The Republican Party, as cultish as it might be, is strong. Can be both at the same time, which is horrifying to think about. Once they win seats in the Senate and the House, Biden's going to do everything to block their shit until Biden might do something to block their shit, but not all their shit. We need a strong Republican Party, so instead of banning abortion, we can continue to fund endless wars. More weapons, less affordable housing, no health care, no Equality Act, no legal marijuana. Oh my God. It's the stupidest thing I think I've ever heard from you. And it's not because you want to win, it's because you want to keep your seat. You don't care if the Republicans win. In fact, that's exactly what it's seeming right now. This was your whole agenda, wasn't it? If the Republicans win, and be like, oh, good grief, we don't have to appeal to all these leftists who just want basic labor rights, basic labor protections, basic union rights. You've heard what Lindsey Graham's saying. He's on the neocon side. He's saying he's going to shut down all this pro-union activity, pro-union terrorism that terrifies the individual corporations. Yes, the individual large corporations that fund both of you. This is why you're very calm. This is a fucking joke.
So let's make this as bipartisan as possible, and not. But right now, it's, people say I signed up to be part of the climate this or that, which means nothing, unless you're going to put your vote or you're signing up there. So let's just strive to make it partisan.
Let's just strive to make it. She said partisan at the end of it, by the way. She didn't say bipartisan. She said partisan. Let's strive to make it even more partisan. If only they could be bipartisan about the things that people want in America, instead of just appealing to their base. Nancy. If only the Republicans could accommodate the moderates, because that's really what you are. You're just a conservative moderate. You're not a liberal, Pelosi. You dropped the term liberal back in the 90s, okay? After the Clinton administration, you were all in on fucking arresting black people for drugs. You were all in on the 1994 crime bill. You were all in on taking away union rights. You didn't care. As long as you got your fancy $10,000 suit and your $2 million houses, and there's multiple houses, I'm sure. You got your security guards all around you. You're fine. You want an abortion? You could just go to California. You're fine. You're all good. It's all good for Nancy here. She ain't gonna lose her seat, because Democratic voters are completely led like sheep, like the evangelical right, into voting these massive fucks, these massive fuck-ups into Congress. It pisses me off so much. Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ. This is what leftist theory has always said. Neoliberals will accommodate the fascists. Liberals will always make way to defend the interests of private property and defend the fascists against the lefties, against leftists, real leftists. They'll go on and virtue signal to the LGBTQ community and, women's rights and all this stuff, but it's all really a facade, so they can just keep getting the votes to get back in there. And if you wanted to protect women's rights, why didn't you vote for this women's rights amendment years ago? Women's Health Protection Act years ago, when Obama had a super majority. Because you didn't think Roe versus Wade was going to get overturned? Did you estimate the possibility that maybe there was going to be a far-right Senate? Oh my fucking God. And again, I'm a moderate on abortion. And I know y'all wrote the House bill to be just make it as unappealing as possible to the other side. You wanted Roe versus Wade originally in law, right? You didn't think that was going to fail with the Republicans? The Republicans are already far gone. Many of them are already just banned. Many of them have already said they will ban abortion almost completely, except when it saves the mother's life. That was it. No exceptions for rape, no exceptions for incest, and some of them are trying to classify pregnant women with murder charges. That is so bad. That is the most horrible shit you can imagine. None of those efforts are going to succeed, at least in the state I live in. But they're going to succeed in places like Louisiana in the coming years, or Mississippi. And you won't care. You don't care because you want people to have an underclass. Capitalism always needs an underclass of people. It's just disgusting how Nancy clearly defends the party that wants to eliminate everything they don't like. And the Democrats, of course, are going to do nothing about it. This is why you vote. This is why you try. We should have formed our own progressive party a long time ago. We should have seen this coming, but we didn't. We chose to keep our heads down. We chose to fuck up, and now it's biting us in the ass. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.